State may call your next witness.
Detective Geraldine Hamilton.
Ma'am, good afternoon to you. Just watch your step as you come forward. You need a glass of water?
I'm fine, thank you.
Let us know. We'll do our best to accommodate you. I just ask that if there's an objection made, just pause before you answer the question. Let me rule on the objection, and we'll go from there. That said, State, you may inquire. You're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Please introduce yourself to the jury.
I'm Detective G.A. Hamilton,
And Detective Hamlin, who's your employer?
Jacksonville Sheriff's Office,
How long?
for over 22 years.
What is your current assignment?
Crime scene detective
How long have you been a crime scene detective?
for over 8 years.
And were you a crime scene detective back on January 10th, 2019?
Yes,
And were you on duty that day?
yes,
And were you asked to assist in case number 2018-866-278, that's the JSO number?
yes,
And were you asked to be dispatched to 9152 North Main Street?
yes,
And when you arrived, did you meet with someone from the homicide office?
Originally, I contacted via radio because they was not there.
And were you actually then asked to go somewhere else first and then come back to that location?
Yes,
And the first location that we just discussed, is that Ace Pick-a-Part?
you pull it, yes,
Yes, ma'am. However, were you asked to then go to 528 Trout River Road here in Jacksonville, Florida?
yes,
And is that in Duval County?
yes.
And what type of location is at that Trout River Road?
A single-story residence.
And was there a certain purpose for you to go to that residence?
Yes, the homicide detective advised me that they had a search warrant, and they wanted me to take overall photographs and collect a firearm.
And did you take photographs of that location?
Yes,
I'm showing you what's a composite of part of State 17, and it involves some photographs that you took during the pendency of your involvement. We'll first start off at the Trout River Road. Can you explain 17Q, please?
yes, that's a photograph of the sign. Basically, the residence is kind of like at the intersection, so it just shows the location.
And then State's Evidence 17R. Can you please describe Detective Hamilton?
Yes, that's just a photograph for the front of the residence.
State 17S. Can you please describe?
Yes, just another photograph veering to the left of the or to the right of the residence, my left.
And Detective Hamilton, is it part of procedure to take outside photographs of the location of where you're about to do a search?
Yes,
And then is this also part of the residence in State 17T?
yes,
Would that be the side, like if we're looking straight on the house, would that be the left side of the home?
yes.
Now in State 17U, could you please describe?
That's the front door.
Next in State 17V,
That's when I stepped inside the residence and just took a photograph.
would that be to the left or to the right, ma'am?
That was to the left.
Yes, ma'am. Ultimately, did you take some photographs, though, of a certain location of interest?
Yes,
And was that the primary bedroom of that residence?
yes.
And in State's Evidence 17W, can you please describe?
That's a photograph of the master bedroom, the one main bedroom with the closet door.
And just going back a second, 17W, was then the closet a point of interest.
Yes.
Next, in state 17X, are we able to see the item of interest for your search, Detective Hamilton?
That's a closer shot. If you can see in the corner.
Could you please
May
start,
not,
ma'am?
you may not be able to see this up here. It's just coming in.
And we're about to look at some closer pictures, aren't
Yes.
we?
Yes.
Ultimately, what are we looking at here in state 17X from a far viewpoint picture?
Yes. I'm just leading you up to the point to where we want to focus on.
And what is that item?
It's a firearm.
And next in state 17Y.
That's the photo of the firearm
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
in place.
Oh, sorry, ma'am. And then in state 17Z,
A closer shot.
and is that again common to give all the different viewpoints of that item?
Yes.
And next in state 17AA, what is the purpose of this photograph?
That's to show the firearm is showing is actually one inside the. You have a live round inside the magazine.
And for a layperson like myself, does that mean that the firearm was loaded?
Yes.
Next in state 17BB, can you describe this photograph?
That's a photo of all the ammo with the firearm. This right here, that's the live round that was inside the chamber. And these right here is from this magazine. And this is from that magazine.
And just so we make sure our record is clear, Detective Hamilton, did you place a different magazine, a total of 2 magazines on the left and the right side of the firearm?
Yes.
And the live rounds that are located directly underneath each magazine, is that where it came from?
Yes.
Now, before we get on to your next location, did you collect this firearm, package it along with the magazines, the ammunition, and take it to JSO property room?
Yes.
Ma'am, I'm showing you State's Evidence 37. Do you recognize it?
Yes.
And how do you recognize it?
This is a firearm. It has my initials on the box where I collected it, and it's got the report number and everything on it.
I didn't hear you, man. Can you speak up?
Oh, I'm sorry. It has
That's
a
okay.
report number and everything that's on there indicating from that case.
And that would be your markings with the black Sharpie?
Yes.
And what type of firearm is State's Evidence 37?
It's a Ruger.
And what caliber? Do you need to take a moment, ma'am, and look at it?
Yes. It's a 9mm.
So would that be a 9mm Ruger handgun? Would it be, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. And then, ma'am, I'm showing you what's been marked previously State's Evidence 38. If you can take a moment and look at it.
Yes, those are the live rounds that I collected from the scene.
And again, I think it's kind of obvious, but just to make sure for record purposes, is it obviously safety protocol to separate ammunition from a firearm?
Yes.
And that way we have 2 packages?
Yes.
Next, ma'am, after going to the Trout River Road location, did you then travel back to the original destination of Ace Pickup Park?
Yes.
And ma'am, and just to ask you, was the 528 Trout River Road location, is that located here in Jacksonville, Duval County?
Yes.
Now, ma'am, were you asked to search a vehicle at the Ace Pickup Park you pull at location?
Yes.
And was that a blue GMC Envoy?
Yes, it was.
And in relation to the location of that vehicle in State 17A, first, do you see the vehicle that you searched?
Yes.
Do you recall approximately where that vehicle was located at Ace Pickup Park you pull it?
In the mud.
If I were to show you a aerial view of Ace Pickup Park, would you be able to generally locate where you had searched that vehicle?
Not definitive, no.
Okay. Do you recall that it was towards the back end where I think we see some trees, though?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Next, I'm showing you State 17C. Is that the same GMC Envoy?
Yes.
And are you taking photographs as is of how you first observed it?
Yes.
Did you ask, though, for that vehicle to be moved for processing?
Yes.
And again, just taking overview photographs of 17D, 17E, 17F, 17G. Now in 17H, did you take a photograph of when it was being moved for you?
Yes.
Now in 17I, is this now the location that you were about to do a search?
Yes.
Now, did you have some assistance from the homicide detectives as well?
I did.
State 17J, 17K, are these just interior view shots in 17L of the GMC Envoy?
Yes.
And again, is this just an interior view shot of the driver's side door front of 17M?
Yes.
Now, I would draw your attention to the rear driver's side area interior of the Envoy in 17N, where there are two particular locations that were of interest to you.
Yes.
And can we see both of those areas in 17N?
Yes.
Would you mind circling the two areas since we're at a medium viewpoint of those items? The first circle, ma'am, would that be on the floor of the vehicle?
Yes.
And as the second item appears to be some type of towel?
Yes.
And we'll get closer here now. So in State 17O, is that the spot that you observed on the floor?
Yes.
Now, did you do any type of testing of that area?
Yes, I checked it to see was it positive for our blood.
And what was the results?
Negative.
And next, in regards to that towel, in State 17P, what did you do regarding the testing of that item?
I tested the towel as well, and it had negative results.
And were those ultimately the only two items that appear to have any potential type of evidence?
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
So, if we could, we'll start with that picture of the GMC Envoy where you left off. On 17M, you were taking pictures of the interior of the GMC Envoy, right?
Yes.
Okay. I believe she's pulling that up now. Okay. And as you photographed this, there was also a dog print or paw print on the back of that vehicle, right?
Yes, right. I can see it from here, yes.
Okay. Do you know if that was as a result of them taking the canine cadaver dogs over there?
From the stand-in, I believe so.
Okay, and that's why you were called out there to process this vehicle, is that accurate?
Possibly, yes.
Okay, now when you did so, go through there, you just stated you tested those items, and those were negative for blood, correct?
Correct.
And did you do any swabs for DNA or anything like that?
No.
Okay. Now, switching over to the firearm, just briefly, you were directed by the homicide detective, the same homicide detective, to collect that firearm, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you can't say who owned that weapon, correct?
I cannot know.
You can't say that this firearm was used in the commission of a crime, can you?
I cannot.
You can't say the last time that it was fired,
I cannot.
and you don't even know if it was even used in a homicide or in the commission of the alleged murder of IS, can you?
I do not know.
May I have a second with counsel, Your Honor? Nothing further, Your Honor.
No questions, Your Honor.
Detective, good to see you, ma'am. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you, you too.
Hey, you can call our next witness.